Hi Tiffany, Blaise is going to be your surrogate today. We'll do our hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we've taken our temperatures, 36.3, 36.5, so we're all good. Oh, in Australia that's actually quite fine.
Celsius.
Celsius, exactly right. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so I am now 100% Tiffany.
Now 100% Tiffany.
And hold, body agrees. Hold out, brain agrees. Hold in, gut emotions agree.
Right.
Yay, okay. So Tiffany will just start checking your survival, your celestial circuit, that sort of thing. I think it's been maybe 6-8 months, something like that, since our last balance. So we'll check things out. Hold. Okay. So the adrenals are a bit struggling at the moment. Hold. Like everyone else on the planet, of course. Hold. Hold. Interesting. So survival patterns in the clear aren't showing up. And hold. But your celestial circuit is out. It's on the right, so your masculine side is exhausted a little bit by standing up for yourself perhaps, or standing in a new paradigm, standing in your strength or your growth or something, but at the moment it's exhausting your brain to do that, or it's exhausting your energy fields. Okay, we need a flower essence to kick on in. Oh yeah, okay. So there's 2 Australian bush flower essences showing up. One's called Boab. The mask is going to have to come down. Mm-hmm. Okay, so one's called Boab. Boab's for family emotional gear, especially family stuff where you are having to stand up for yourself and your beliefs and you have to look after yourself, so you have to end up saying to your family, I believe in what I'm doing, I'm fine. So let's see, how many drops for the Boab? Oh, okay, that's a huge dose. So there's quite a paradigm shift going on in your family at the moment.
Undertongue?
Yeah. And the second, and obviously with family stuff, when we stand up for ourselves, family often pushes back. And the second one is Southern Cross energy. And Southern Cross is that poor me energy. Why is this happening to me? Because we oscillate between, I'll let the family do anything they want and I need to stand up for myself and my boundaries. Sorry, how many drops of Southern Cross? That's only 3 drops. That's a piece of cake. So that's just more recent stress. Whereas 7 drops with Boab, 7 drops is nearly always that lifetime. So basically your whole life there's been something in the background that's been pushing something.
Open eyes closed, mask on, mask off.
Exactly. Okay. Now that's just about sorted out the celestial circuit. It's not showing up as much, but it is out a little bit. Yeah. So it's like energetically your body wants to be living in the now, but it's having a hard time because this new paradigm is just a little bit draining for you. Just do the best technique to help to rebalance this. The celestial circuit's also about the core sense of yourself. And there's nothing like family and friends to pull you into line occasionally when you are starting to move forward or get out of an old pattern or rut.
do the flower essences work?
You know the way homeopathics work? So there's a like cures like concept. Or even vaccines, and I know it's not the same thing, but you know, you're giving a tiny, tiny amount of something to give some immunity boosting.
Yeah.
Well, with flower essences, going back in the late 1700s, there were a couple of guys, and one of them was Dr. Bach, and he
Appropriate name.
yeah, well, he created the Bach flower essences. And he felt that at the core of every illness, there was emotional gear. So he felt, and then he spent 12 years researching 48 flower essences. And I think it was because he used to go on these morning walks and he would see the dew coming off the flowers, and he felt that that dew probably had medicinal properties.
All right.
So what he would do would have these clients come to him and he would give them drops and he would just see what would happen with them, because that's what they used to do with homeopathics hundreds of years ago. They would actually prove the homeopathics by giving the real substance, because just about everything has been used as a homeopathic over the years. So, you know, mercury and arsenic and all sorts of things. And they would give that substance until the person, and they would do it on a bunch of people until they would feel symptoms. And then they would put together all of those symptoms, and that would become the repertory, the symptomatology of that substance. And then they would grab the substance, put it in a thing, shake it up with water, you know, 1,000,000 times, so they're getting the essence of the substance. So with flower essence, it's a sort of a similar thing, in that they spent 12 years working on people with different emotional gear and seeing which ones they had an energetic healing associated with it. So, yeah. And then the Australian bush flower essences, which I use a lot. Ian White is a naturopath and homeopath, and his family have been naturopaths for 4 generations. And he's quite intuitive. So he intuited a lot of his knowledge, I believe.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I believe that's the case.
Instead of just waiting for testers, kinesiology tested.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I know he believes in numerology, so that's quite a different thing, of course. But he loves his numerology and he loves his homeopathy, and he's a naturopath. But yeah, I love the bush flower essences. Yeah, so it's sort of like if there's an emotional charge in the body and we give a flower essence, it diffuses the charge so we can get to the next level of what's going on in the body.
Yeah.
Speeds up the process. Let's check your celestial circuit again. Hold. Yeah, so obviously the opposite side of the flower essences, so I only mentioned the negative side, but the boab, it allows you to stand in your truth, and it allows you to look at the belief systems within your family, and it allows you to go, hang on, that's not a belief system that works for me. Am I standing in my power when I have this belief? So, for example, when I was a kid, my nickname was Featherhead. So basically, I just had this reputation of being a bit of a doofus, apparently. So no one really expected me to... Well, I don't know whether there was a lack of expectation, but I certainly had the nickname. But I think it was because I ran on adrenaline and I was always going from one thing to another, and probably true. I didn't really...
Most people aren't really finding themselves until their mid-20s.
Yeah, exactly.
And those who reckon they did find themselves, they end up having a midlife crisis at 40, so... 20 years down the track, what am I doing with my life? Thought I figured this out. I was 18, I figured it out. No.
Actually, Tiffany, what we do need is the affirmation from one of the flower essences. Do we need it from Boab or do we need it from Southern Cross? We need it from Southern Cross, so we do need to embed the positive energy associated with that.
Is that the 3 drops one?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the most recent.
Yeah.
So Boab's the whole lifetime, potentially, because, that's family. But Southern Cross, the poor me energy, it's the last thing we need with the world in this energy at the moment.
I can't scratch my face. I'm feeling that poor me energy.
Yeah, so the positives of Southern Cross are personal power, taking responsibility, and positivity. Yeah, right. I am realizing more and more that I create my own reality. And hold. Yeah, no. Not quite there yet. And let's check the second one. I am growing with each life experience. And hold. Not quite. Big energy on the planet. I keep trying to find positives with what's going on at the moment. And obviously there's so many things going on, on Facebook and, talk shows and things about the planet slowing down and finding our passions, and we've still been really busy, so we haven't got to any of that yet. Okay, so in relation to standing in your personal power, growing with each life experience, and realizing that we create our own reality. And hold. Right, so obviously all your hormones started playing up around the time when America was being stricken. So potentially running on adrenaline, which this is now. So now we've hit survival stuff. Now there goes your adrenals, your survival, your deep survival, and your hidden deep survival. So that part of your brain that's going, holy moly, what in the world is going on, literally, has sort of crashed a little bit here. So it means if you're running on adrenaline, it can do things like slow down the thyroid, slow down your sex hormones, slow down your female hormones, and make them all a bit all over the shop. The frustration, rage, anger of not having any control, that can mess with the liver. And if your liver isn't metabolizing hormones, it will make everything worse. So our PMT can go through the roof, or our symptomatology can go through the roof. Okay, where do we need to go? EMC, MMC, PVSS. So, the sensory nervous system. Okay, anterior cingulate gyrus. So this is you picking on yourself for not being perfect in amongst all of this stress. So like you say, you've actually changed your diet, you're doing really well, you've made some big positive changes, and yet hormonally things are a bit all over the shop. So, that part of your brain that wants you to be perfect under stress is just feeling like, poor me. I've made all these changes and why me? Okay, so anterior cingulate gyrus. And hold. Yeah, making you want to run away. Okay. Yeah, right. And the next one, so these few little areas are in that genetic line, so in that part of the subcolossal gyrus where we've got the up to 7 generations of stuff in there impacting on us. So the next little one is when we can alternate into that depression if we're not paying attention, when we aren't in control and feeling powerful and living our own strength even within chaos going on. And hold. Okay.
That was a weird.
That was a weird one. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, I think. Yeah, so there's the potential with all this craziness for you to go into depression and not be seeing, the bright lights and the positives out of this experience. What are your positives?
The positives for this. I finally get to work from home.
I heard Sweden, 40% of them work from home anyway. How amazing is that? Just
Yeah.
normally.
Well, the world hasn't caught up with this bloody concept. If you're working on a computer, you could probably do a lot of that from home. But if you're working from home, who knows what you're doing during company time? Whereas if you're in an office, well, you know, who knows what you're doing on the office computer? And that's why you have a manager who comes around and has the capacity to discipline you if you're not. I don't know. Maybe there's a greater truth in that. There's probably a bunch of people out there who don't have the discipline to just work on their bloody computer at home.
So you do, obviously?
Yes. You know, you got a job to do. Do it. Although I'm also really under the pump.
Yeah.
I'm like several weeks behind. We're busy.
Yeah.
So if I'm not working hard, I've got that sort of guilt thing going on personally. And it's like, oh. Did 2 hours of work last night just in my own time.
Yeah. Guilt is good in theory. You know, just for those things to keep us on track and keep us motivated because you don't want to do the wrong thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and it's a long process. Apparently we're getting another person. But, you know, it's a bit hard at the moment.
Yeah, right.
One step at a time.
Exactly. That one was the reticular activating system. So the stress, because your body's gone into that, holy moly, this stress is going to be there forever. And that's switching off the serotonin. Now, serotonin and melatonin are definitely linked in with hormonal imbalances. So I've just balanced that. Okay. Something else with the PBSS. Okay, so let's go in and have a look at which organs are being affected particularly. So the sympathetic nervous system's been activated, so it's switching off the rest and digest. So the bloating that you've been feeling, you know, like if we're stressed, it shuts down the hydrochloric acid release. But anyway, we'll check it out. Where am I going? Sympathetic nervous system. And hold. Yep. Yeah, I've totally forgotten how to sleep in the last few weeks.
Have you done a video on how stress bloody cuts down all of our normal body functions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I might even do one.
It was a real like, oh, you know, just mind blown moment 15 years ago or whatever.
When you realised?
Well, I think you had some documentary playing in the clinic or something.
Yeah.
The monkeys. So the monkeys at the top were like, their blood.
So the little group monkeys live in groups of 20, 30 monkeys, and they have a very specific hierarchy.
Yeah.
That's the one.
So the ones at the top, their bodies were functioning better because they were never under any stress.
Because they know they're the best. So the ones at the top, they know they're the best. The ones at the bottom, they actually know they're the worst. So there's not a lot of energy to try to get to the top because they know they'll never get there. It was the ones in the middle that, had the most cortisol running, the most stress hormones running, and they're the ones that had the most illnesses and everything. And I remember...
So the monkey one was cool, but I remember the thing about, I think maybe you were telling me about it or I read about it somewhere, but when you're being chased by a cheetah and your body goes, oh my gosh, I'm being chased by a cheetah, what do I do? You know, fight or flight, deep survival, all that.
Yeah.
When you're in that level of stress, it's sort of like the old Star Trek, you know, divert power from from the weapons and put them into the shields and into the engines or something. Yeah, that's flight.
Hold down at the wrist.
But yeah,
Hold down at the wrist.
the idea that your digestion might not work as well because you are stressed.
Hold. Yeah.
That was a real mind blown moment for me, you know, when I was half my age.
Yeah, it's a...
Well, you don't think about it.
No, and pretty much, I mean, even if you think about it, in Australia, if a lot of symptoms are going on, quite often doctors will just whack us on antidepressants and anti-anxieties within 4 to 6 minutes. And maybe there's a little bit of something to that, because if you calm down, not from my perspective, but from their perspective, if you calm down the stress, then perhaps some other bodily functions will start feeling a bit better.
I don't want to say it's good or bad, but I do think that our modern medical thing is basically to help you get back to work.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, you got to work. You got to work to pay your bills, and the country needs you to work so you can pay your taxes. Yeah. And that's the direction we've taken. So you can be stressed your whole life and never do anything about that medically or whatever. And they don't really care, as long as you don't get a stomach ulcer and have to stay home from work. Yeah. I don't know. As long as you don't get depressed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So the heart chakra was just blown a little bit. So that's part of the personal power side of things. Heart chakra is about self-esteem, it's self-worth, it's about self-belief. And when it's working well, we have compassion, we expand our mind, we think things through for the better of everyone involved. When we're stuck, then it turns into hate or hysteria or obsession. So the heart chakra is, just taken a bit of a... It's been, last couple of weeks it's just been tough on your heart chakra. Good, okay. Funnily enough, this is working through the organs being messed up, so the heart energy showed up, but it wasn't heart organ itself, it was heart chakra. Okay, stomach's shown up next. And hold. Yeah, nothing going on there. Hold. So we'll pick it up, and then I'll check a couple of things like hydrochloric acid and just a little bit deeper into it. That little area there on the left stimulates lymph going to and from the stomach, so you can rub that anytime you're feeling bloated and uncomfortable, because quite often bloating in the small intestine will be because of a lack of hydrochloric acid upstream in the stomach.
Yeah, so you got to stretch your quads.
The quads are about the small intestine.
Well, I was just trying to think of some muscle groups. I don't know, your triceps, your lats.
Yeah, not helping.
Rub your lymph node.
Hold. Hold. Now, optimal hydrochloric acid release. And hold. Okay. And hold. And optimal DAO release. And hold. Okay. So DAO is diamine oxidase. So that's the one that gets released, and it helps to pull histamine out of the body. So when histamine builds up in the gut, it can just cause discomfort. When it builds up in the brain, it can cause headaches, migraines, that sort of thing. If it builds up in the uterus, it can cause all sorts of menstrual difficulties, and in the spine, it can cause pain. So this is just waking up the energy to remind stomach meridian, wake up again. Optimal hydrochloric acid release. And hold. Hold. Optimal DAO. Hold. Hold. Beautiful. Okay. So anything more with the stomach energy? Okay, so moving on. So large intestine is also showing up. So the fascia lata on the sides of the legs and the quadratus lumborum. I know last year, I didn't mention it in these emails, but last year you had some back pain. So I will check the quadratus lumborum as well, just to make sure It's up and running. So, fascia lata. Hold up nice and strong.
Nope.
Hold up. Yeah, negatory. Okay, hold on to the edges of the table. Hold out. Don't let me push to the left.
No
Hold
chance.
out. Yeah, nothing going on there.
Like, I should be able to hold that.
Yeah.
I have the muscular strength to hold that. Nope.
Yeah, nothing.
Unlocks have to be one of the most surreal things.
Yeah, I had a session with one of my kinesiologists a few weeks ago, and I still have that same, oh yeah, I exercised yesterday, so that'll be why the muscle unlocks. Which of course it's nothing to do with exercise. Nothing whatsoever.
I mean, it might be why it hurts.
Yeah.
But it's not going to unlock because of it.
So the little L5 knobs in the lower back, either side of your sacrum, they help to send lymphatic supply to the large intestine. And just above that on the spinous processes, sends energy to both the large intestine and the small intestines. And hold, beautiful. And hold, excellent. Hold onto the edges. And hold out for me. And hold, good stuff. Beautiful. Okay. So small intestine isn't actually showing up, which is funny because that's where you're feeling the digestion. So I'll check it with the muscles. Hold. Okay. So because you've particularly said about bloating, let me ask, in relation to a lack of pancreatic enzymes, and hold, right. And hold, okay. And once again, in the clear, hold. So without any stress on the line, they're working. So now let me ask in relation to a lack of liver and gallbladder enzymes, such as bile. And again, hold. Yeah, right. So the small intestine's feeling it because the stomach isn't working as well as it should, and it's not getting enough energy from either the pancreas or the liver. So generally it is a bit shut down, but your small intestine's just feeling the overall effect of it as opposed to being the cause of it all. Small intestines, okay.
Yes, I know I need to lose weight.
At the moment there hasn't been extra time to exercise or anything?
Not really. We did go for a walk, yeah, family.
Yep.
Family walk around the block. But, not really. Yeah, it's like 8:30 at night, maybe I could go for a jog.
Yeah. Small intestine in relation to a lack of pancreatic enzymes. Hold. Hold. And because you've changed your diet for the better recently, sometimes that sort of throws the digestive tract into chaos a little bit initially because the body is having to deal with more fibre and more phytonutrients and all sorts of things. So sometimes it sort of feels a bit worse before it gets better. Lack of liver and gallbladder enzymes. And again, hold, beautiful. Hold, excellent. Okay. Now, we'll probably get to those organs in a sec. That's better. Okay, here's liver. Okay. So liver and liver enzymes. And hold, don't let me go back. That one's good. Hold up, don't let me go down. It's good. Hold, don't let me go back. Hold up, don't let me go down. Oh. So it's the fourth one there. Hold. Yeah, nothing. So The fourth one is to do with your liver not metabolizing stress hormones. So that's that thing that happens where when our body goes, and don't forget we're in a survival, deep survival, hidden deep survival pattern here as well. So when your body goes into that, one of the things the liver does is releases that stuff called fibrin. Fibrin is a sticky substance. I don't know if I've got a picture somewhere. Not that it'll probably work, but I'm going to close on up into this. So this one here, see, it's like spider web. So it's this sticky substance that gets released out into the bloodstream, so that it's like a clotting agent, but it also just picks up stuff that the liver hasn't coped with dealing with. But it is a clotting agent because 10,000 years ago when the bear, attacked, we wanted to clot so we didn't bleed out and die. So when that one shows up, that's often what's going on.
It's like, why do we have fat? Why does the human body even have fat? Just store it for a rainy day. What if you don't have food?
Yeah.
Shopping centre right there. It's
And
24/7.
years ago, exactly. 10,000 years ago, you were the best person on the market if you could store fat.
I could buy like 5 kilos of rice for $2.
10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Hold up. Beautiful.
I'm sure there's a purpose.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's a good place to store all these toxins we're putting in our body now. So
It
that's
certainly
nice. That's nice.
Well, that's one of the studies they've done with diabetics. It hasn't mattered what weight they are, whether they're thin or overweight or obese, but it's the amount of toxicity in their fat tissue that links in with the worst blood sugar levels. Hold in for me. So if the fat mass is low, then the blood sugar, if the fat mass is low but the toxins are high, more likely to get diabetes. If the fat mass is high with low toxins, less likely to get diabetes. Hold in. And they've sort of redone that study a couple of times now. That one's pancreas. So this is to do with the pancreatic enzymes, which also, so we not only make the things that to do with blood sugar from the pancreas, but it also makes a bit of hydrochloric acid. The pancreas, the small intestine, and the kidneys all make some bicarb soda. So when the three of them showed up, and then basically the body can get a bit out of balance acid alkaline wise.